Hey guys, I think we're live, aren't we?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey guys, how y'all doing? This is Dr. McCluskey coming live. I haven't been live in. Is you sure it's live?
Yes, it's live. You can see the button right there. See?
Oh, okay. Wait. Hold on 1 second. Can you make? Oh, we messed that up. Can you share that for me to my group?
Stop touching it.
You can't share it to my group. Ooh, what you did?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, share it to that one. And McCluskey Cares Foundation, please.
Where is it?
Scroll down, you see it? Yeah, right there.
Got it.
Okay, now pull it back. Okay, all right. Awesome. Okay, I decided to come live tonight, and I have Blanche, my daughter, with me because I wanted to have a serious conversation tonight, and we'll try not to be too long, but in the past couple of days, we've been having protests, silent protests, and we've been basically going with the Black Lives Matter movement. And I've been sitting here patient because I can't wait until education becomes a topic and we talk about that and equality in education. And so it's amazing how God works in mysterious ways because I wasn't ready yet. I was waiting because I wanted to wait until the topic came up and then I could insert myself into it. But I realized something today as I was sitting here responding to some students from Thomasville High School. My entire life, my entire 19 years of teaching, I basically was fighting for justice for students. That's all I've been doing since I started teaching. And I basically walked away from education 2 years ago because I just couldn't take it anymore. The injustices were just too great. So when this situation came up in Thomasville, this was the perfect opportunity for me to speak out. So what I did is on my Facebook page, I just put a post. And on that post, I said, if your teacher said to you, you are fresh off the chains black, or you are nappy headed, or you have slave hair, would you be offended? And I didn't say what color the teacher was at all. Notice I never put the race of the teacher out there. And I did that on purpose because I didn't want to colorize this. And so the comments that I got back is people who were responding were like, yes. I would be appalled. I would demand that teacher be reprimanded or removed. Yes, it's inappropriate. You know how I am with my kids. You already know how it would go. If one of my colleagues, regardless of his or her race, said that to my students, we would both be going to the principal's office. I would not be offended. I'd be pissed and pray I wouldn't get arrested. So the reason, that ain't for you to laugh, but the reason that I put it out there and didn't put the race of the person out there is because I wanted people to see that is offensive no matter what color that teacher is. So my student from 2015, I was graduation coach at Thomasville High School in Thomasville, Georgia. The student who wrote the post was a student during my tenure in 2015 at Thomasville High School. So my class, the class of 2020, which is the kids who are graduating this year, they are now taking that same teacher. And so when my class of 2020 weighed in, they really just like slaughtered this student from 2015 for speaking up. And we're talking about, these are all black kids now. The teacher in question that we're talking about, she is a white teacher. And so they were offended. They came and they were like, she's not racist. You're wrong for that. And they didn't see anything wrong with the comments that she made. They didn't see anything wrong with it. Those comments were wrong. And the student who had a problem with it had a right to have a problem with it. But the student that had a problem with it is probably one of the most woke students that I have ever seen in my life. She's a good kid, went through a lot of adversity, still is in college right now, making a way. And so my thing is, and the reason I wanted to talk about this, why it's so important. Here we are, black kids attacking another black kid because she's basically saying this is racist. Now, I'll be the first to say this teacher, she's not overtly racist. She really is not. She's not overtly racist. She's not. And I think deep down she cares about black kids. But this is the thing that most people don't understand. And most school systems never got it. And I always fought for this. Teachers need to become culturally diverse. They don't understand the black culture. They don't know us. And this is a phenomenon that you guys have slept on that nobody knows, have noticed. And it's going on across this nation. The black teachers are becoming extinct. I mean, they're gone. Black teachers are tired. Black women like me, especially black women with higher education, with the doctorates. Oh, we out of there. Because you get tired of being beat down. You get tired of being berated. You get tired of being, let me see, when I'm in Northwest Georgia, I'm labeled as pro-black. You get tired of that. No, I'm not pro-black. I'm black, so of course I'm going to be for me. So yeah, I guess I am pro-black. But I'm pro-everybody. I'm pro-all kids. But yes, I'm going to take care of me. And they would get upset with that, and I would get attacked for that. I would be called a troublemaker for 19 years. I wrote this book 2 years ago, Stepping Out on Faith, saying goodbye to public education after 19 years. My book is only $5.99 on Kindle, the cost of a Happy Meal. And this is how they get us. Education is what's keeping most blacks down. They're not taking advantage of it. And then we're not watching who they put around our kids. When kids think that it's okay for somebody to call you those words, you nappy head, you straight out of the chain. I don't even say that to kids. And you think that's okay? It's a problem. It's a problem in American school systems. I brought Blanche on because I asked Blanche a question. Because it just came to my attention when all of this came out in Thomasville. It came to my attention. 2015, Thomasville wanted to do this ARP program. I said academic recovery program. I went before the Board of Education. I was on WALB Channel 10 News. This is a bad idea. You already have the Scholars Academy. And let me stop for a second. Let me tell y'all about Thomasville, Georgia. And I talk about Thomasville in my book. And when I read about Thomasville, I'll tell you what I say about Thomasville. Thomasville is one of the most segregated places that I have ever seen in my life. I've never seen a school system so segregated in my life. But what people don't understand, when you segregate, you're basically saying to black kids, you are inferior. If you're not over at our Scholars Academy or our Merit Academies, you're inferior. You're not smart enough. So when I got to Thomasville, I was shocked because I graduated from Brooks County High School in 1990. Thomasville High School was the stuff back then. They were our, I don't know if we played them then because, no, they were bigger then. We just started playing y'all now. But Thomasville was the stuff. Thomasville was top notch. And so basically what happened is they created the Scholars Academy and it segregated the kids. It's segregated. Now, I hope that Thomasville is in the process of putting that back together because the kids are separate and they have been separated for a while. And this is the problem that I have. So they did back to ARP. They did the ARP Academy. I said it's a horrible idea. Then they decide the person that they put over the ARP Academy is a teacher that, I'm trying to say this in a nice way. When she started teaching at McIntyre Park, she placed one of the biggest Confederate flags I have ever seen in my life in her classroom. You're talking about McIntyre Park is all black. I think I taught 6th grade when I was there. I had one white student in my classroom. There were 2 white boys in 8th grade. Everybody else in the whole school black. What person would come in an all-black school and put up a Confederate flag? So then you put her over this art program, which fails miserably. But this is where I asked my daughter, I said, how would you feel if you walked in the classroom and your teacher had a big Confederate flag?
Okay, if they had a Confederate flag with a Union flag, then I would feel okay because they're showing both sides of the Civil War. But the fact that, did she just have...
Just a huge Confederate flag on the wall.
But did she have the actual Confederate flag or was it the Virginia battle flag? Like the one with the stars and stripes.
I don't know my Confederate flags like that. That's not something that I really
like
study.
the one that you see rednecks flying. Like that one, like the one with the stars and stripes. So when you turn it around or when you turn it anyway,
it's a difference in Confederate flags.
Yes, the one that racist people fly is the Virginia battle flag. And the actual Confederate flag doesn't look like that.
Did y'all know it was the difference in Confederate flags?
The actual Confederate flag looks like the Georgia flag. Like
Georgia flag?
The Georgia used to have the Confederate flag on after segregation, and it's
history was my favorite subject. But anyway, how would that make you feel though?
If it was just a big Virginia battle flag, I'm not going into that teacher's room.
Exactly.
She can't make me go.
And I would have probably easily pulled you out of there. And guess what Thomasville just did? Thomasville City just did. They made her, that teacher who had it in her classroom, now she is the assistant principal at McIntyre Park. It just boggles my brain. How you make somebody that big Confederate flag in the class, and I forgot about the part where the Daughters of the Confederacy scholarships. How do you do that? I mean, seriously, how do you do that? And blacks, people in Thomasville, enough is enough. For 3 years, I came from Northwest Georgia, drove from Cedartown, 2 years, I'm sorry. I drove all the way back to Thomasville, Georgia, to speak to your Board of Education, to speak about the things that are happening to those kids. When I came and spoke to you about that art and begged your Board of Education not to do that art program, I was up here in Northwest Georgia. But I cared enough about your students that I drove all the way back down to Thomasville, Georgia to make a difference. And let me tell y'all about Thomasville, my experiences in Thomasville teaching black kids. I told my students that I had, and this is the class of 2020, and that's a loyal class. That's a good kids. I tell everybody that was one of the best class I had. That's why it hurt me in my heart. And that's why I had to speak out tonight to see them defending these statements and defending that teacher that's okay and attacking somebody else for saying that. I could not be silent. I had to say something about that because that class was the class that I taught that they didn't even I tell people all the time, Thomasville, like I said, they didn't get that memo. Slavery is over. So let me tell you how this school was. My students were at McIntyre Park. So they gave us a brand new building, which basically it was to just trick us, to make us complacent. And they're doing this everywhere. We're getting these brand new buildings. Hold on, Blanche, I can't see. Okay, they're getting these brand new buildings to make you comfortable. But what are they putting in your buildings? What are they putting in there? So McIntyre Park, my poor kids, we're in this brand new, beautiful building. So then you got the Scholars Academy with their building. And then what they did was this. My students would have to walk to lunch in a straight line like we're in prison. We would have to line up outside our doors, and we got to be just super duper 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 quiet like we're in prison. When we go to the lunchroom, we're assigned tables that we have to sit at like we're in prison. Now the Scholars Academy, you can go because this ain't funny.
No, I'm just laughing how you keep saying.
Talking about my emotion.
Yes,
but anyway, the Scholars Academy, it was like prison, and that's not funny. Prison is not funny.
Food worse than prison.
No, they fed us the same food. But anyway, so the Scholars Academy, they had freedoms. They could walk to their classes. Matter of fact, they had different classes from us. They could go take ballet over at the Cultural Center. They were able to take art. They took Spanish. They did all of these different electives from us. Our kids had a PE class. I think we had art upstairs, and we had a Spanish teacher. Theirs was on a whole nother level. And so they could eat outside. They could eat in their little cafeteria. They got to do all of that. So the difference was glaring. So when I go there, I'm like, do they not see this injustice, this inequality? Do they not see this as a difference? And how would you feel if you're at McIntyre Park and you're not in the gifted classes and you got to be subjected to that treatment, everybody else get to be literally free?
I would have been mad because it's like they're just grouping kids to go to different schools, and the fact is they can't make all the smart kids go to one school because there's no way to determine how smart a kid really is, because sometimes kids just don't do their work because they don't feel like doing their work. You can have the smartest kid and they just don't want to do their work. So you really never know how smart someone really is.
And then they're not motivated, because I was just, me personally, I was appalled. So that class 2020, I issued a challenge to them, and I told them, this is wrong, y'all. This is wrong. I actually let my kids go to lunch. Go to lunch. You can walk to lunch. And I purposely would look out the window and watch them walk to lunch and let them go walk to lunch by themselves. I'm not walking you to lunch. I'm going to let you go to lunch by yourself, because I knew that they were capable and I knew that they would do it. You're not prisoners. And I would tell them that. So then I taught reading. And I made a challenge to my students. I said, you guys are smart. You should be over there at that Scholars Academy. And I'm going to show you just how smart you are. We're going to make 100%. We're going to have 100% pass rate on the CRCT this year. I promise you we are. Everybody in this room is going to pass the CRCT. And that was in 6th grade reading. So at the end of the year, guess what we had? 100% pass rate. The kids believed in what I was telling them, and they rose to the challenge and they did it. But when you're telling kids, the smart kids are over here, you're average, kids will behave like they're average. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. But if we stop trying to segregate these kids and stop having these set stereotypes for blacks, we can make some progress, all of us in this country. When I got here, I ain't gonna lie, I was pissed this year last year, my daughter was in the 9th grade. When my daughter was in 8th grade, my daughter took 9th grade classes. And I was pissed because when my daughter got to the high school, I was mad because I was like, why is my daughter not in, why is she not in honors classes? She took all 9th grade classes, and they said only the top 30% are in honors classes. So I said, okay, well, let me tell you how this is going down.
That's not even true.
I know that.
Because every single person in my class got into it.
I know that. And I said, this is how this is going down. I'm going to do a FOIA request. I'm going to request all of your records for the people who are in your honors classes. And every last one of those people in that honors class better be in the top 30%. If not, I'm going to do something called file a lawsuit, because my daughter's rights are being violated. How can you be in a class with all the honors kids and you're taking 9th grade class, but when you go to the high school, you're separate? So I tell my daughter, the first day of class, I asked my daughter, how many black kids were in that class? And my daughter said to me, I was the only fully black kid, because we have a lot of biracial, what's the word for it? Biracial kids up here. She was the only black kid. So I was just sitting here talking to Blanche, how many black kids are in your honors class?
Like fully black?
Fully black.
Okay, I think I'm the only one. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure I'm the only one.
Okay, this is where we as parents got to step our game up. Stop running away from these honors classes. Stop running away. This is how they are segregating us now. They're segregating us with honors classes. They make you think that it's so hard. You want rigor. You want your kids to be able to do something that's difficult. They have mechanisms in place to help them with if they need to be tutored, they can be tutored. Of course, I'm not saying somebody who you can't read, I'm going to put you in the honors classes. I'm saying able-bodied people who can do it, let's push them. And these kids never get challenged. They never get pushed. And Thomasville was one of the worst places I've seen. I was trying to think. Oh, I'll never forget. I went to get the kids to sign up for the Bill Gates scholarship. And I sat at my desk and I literally, for the first time, I cried. Because I had been fighting a battle the entire time I was in Thomasville. I'm fighting a battle with teachers. And I talk about it in my book. I couldn't get the teachers to put the kids' grades in. So I got creative. I gave the kids access to their grades. I'm saying to you parents tonight, how many of y'all have access to your kids' grades? How many of y'all go into Power School and know what your kids' grades are? Because what I did, I was the graduation coach, super graduation coach. I pulled 400 progress reports every week. And what I did is, if you were failing 2 or more classes, you were on my probation, which means you had to take your progress report home and get it signed by your parents. I didn't remember this until the conversation with the kids last night, and I talk about it in the book. Well, the teachers, those so-called teachers that my class of 2020, they care so much about me, they reported me to the superintendent. They said, oh, she's breaking FERPA laws because she called the students' names over the intercom. Yes. Oh, you remember this? She called a kid's name over the intercom. She's breaking FERPA laws. One thing I can tell you about Marilyn Mitchell McCluskey. I'm going to dot my I's, cross my T's. And one thing I do well is read. I know what the FERPA law entails. FERPA is a law, but you can't file a FERPA complaint against someone unless you are the parent. A third party can't do it. So they didn't know that. So they were all excited. They done filed this complaint against me because I am calling students' names who owe me my progress report over the intercom to bring me my progress report. Mind you, I told those students, 2 days? You got 2 days to bring me your progress report, or I'm going to call your name out. I want my progress report. I knew what I was doing. If they were so concerned about these kids, they had 48 hours to say, you're breaking up FERPA law. You can't do that. Tell me what graduation coaches y'all know that are out there pulls all of their student grades, go through all their student report. Anybody failing 2 or more classes, you got to take a progress report home. And this high school students. Who does that? That requires a lot of time. So they filed that complaint on me because they didn't appreciate me doing that. During my tenure at Thomasville High School, our CCRPI score got to an 80. I don't think Thomasville High, let me see, it's in here. I don't think Thomasville High has had a score that high since I left. They didn't have one that high before I got there. My class of 2015 was the biggest class Thomasville High School had in a while. Yeah, here it is. I got it in the book. It's right here. I told you, I come with receipts. 2012, Thomasville High School CCRPI score 62.8. 2013, 64.2. 2014, 70.4. 2015, 80.4. 2016, 63.8. 2017, 68.1. Tell me caring people do not make a difference in the lives of black children. And what they said to me was, oh, the reason the score was an 80 because the kids don't have to take the graduation test no more. Notice after I left, it went from 80 to 63 to 68. So it didn't have nothing to do with the graduation test. Let me tell you what I did for those kids. And I encourage you guys to try to get your systems to do the same thing. I had college application night. I had them come out there to the school. The Kappas in Thomasville volunteered. You can go, baby. You can go. Oh, okay. Well, the Kappas from Thomasville came out to the school and they helped the kids fill out college applications. I reached out to Bainbridge College. Y'all sleeping on Bainbridge College? Bainbridge College came over and they did for me a financial aid night. They filled out the financial aid forms for my students. Y'all sleeping on them. When I got ready to do scholarships, I made copies of scholarships and I harassed folk at lunch in the class of 2015. No, I did it. I found them at lunch. Fill this out. Fill this out. Fill this out. I didn't play. And it hurt me that when we got ready for the Bill Gates scholarship, out of a whole class of over 100 people, only 8 black children had a GPA of 3.3 to meet the requirements. Don't tell me it's something wrong with American education. I've been fighting this battle by myself for the past 19 years. And I said I wasn't going to get emotional. I said I was not getting emotional tonight. But I've been fighting by myself for 19 years for the black kids. When I went back and read this book, everything in this book that they talked about, it was me fighting for somebody kid that's not even mine. Just fighting for kids. And right now, I am banned from Rome City schools They banned me from the school system pretty much because of this book. Because I do talk about their superintendent quite bad in this book. I left Rome City Schools, and most people would have walked away and wouldn't have looked back and said, it ain't my problem. Rome City Schools, the students there who I knew needed help, who I taught, I made sure I got them an IEP. I have a fifth grade client. Well, he was in the fourth grade then, my client. They kicked out of school, expelled this student for 2 years. Rome City Schools expelled him for 2 years. I went and got him a lawyer, and I fought hard to get this kid back in school and to get him the IEP he deserved. They had thrown him away like a piece of trash. I got him back in school where he belonged. And that is what I have been doing for the past 2 years, going up and down the state of Georgia, wherever I'm called, and I go for free. I don't charge. I'm at IEP meetings probably, well, I haven't been nowhere since Corona, but I'm literally at an IEP meeting before all this hit. I'm at IEP meetings, parent conferences. I am there. Probably sometimes we would have them twice a week. Every other week, I'm at a meeting on behalf of one of my students. Give me some tissue, please. So I'm there because I believe that much in black kids. I believe that they can succeed if they have a chance. And it hurts me because people don't understand, if we educate, the more people we educate, the more people we will have working. The more people we will have paying taxes. The more people you will have supporting your communities, and businesses will come in. But we're too busy being so racist and hating each other that we're missing out on what's important. So I didn't mean this live to last this long, because I already told my daughter I'm finna do me a YouTube channel and start doing some videos, because since y'all don't want to read, I'm gonna read this book to y'all, and I'm gonna bring the book to you guys, because it's no reason for us not to be successful. Education is the biggest secret on earth that we're not even partaking of. I never forget my little kids, that my last class I had, when I got to class, oh my gosh, nobody was reading on grade level. And the first thing I did, I before I go, I want everybody out there, I want y'all to go buy this book called Night John. Download it, whatever. I want y'all to get this book. It's Night John. It's about this slave who wanted to read, a little girl that wanted to read real bad. My students didn't even know that slaves were not allowed to read and write. When I would show them civil rights videos, they thought it was a movie. They have no clue. The reason 2020 thinks that it's okay for somebody to call you nappy head, it's okay for somebody to say you straight out of chains, the reason they don't have a problem with that is because we have failed our kids. We have not taught them their history. We have not taught them the struggle. We have not taught them how much people sacrifice just so they could go sit in these nice classrooms and do nothing. That's unacceptable. It is totally unacceptable. So I let them read that book, and just them reading that book motivated them. I had 2 students who went up 500 Lexals. And if anybody know about Lexals, you only go up maybe 75 to 100 Lexals in 1 year. I had 2 students go up 500 Lexals in a year. I had another 2 went up 400. Everybody basically went up almost 100 Lexals. Everybody made improvement because they became aware that slaves couldn't read and write. So if slaves can read and write, what does that tell you? That tells you how important reading is. So why are you sitting here saying, I don't like reading, I hate reading? And my students know, I'll tell you in a minute. Do not tell me. I don't even care if these teachers don't teach. I don't care if a teacher never ever teach you. With all the stuff that y'all have at your fingertips, Google. What y'all got everything, don't you?
They just have to teach math. That's all they have to teach.
Thank you. They really just have to teach math.
They just have to teach.
But with everything that's at your fingertips, no, you don't need a teacher to teach you. You can teach yourself. I used to tell my students all the time, don't come ask me. You better Google first. Tell me what Google say, then we're going to look at it together. And I was a wonderful teacher, but I made them look stuff up for the simple fact that I knew once they left my classroom, I didn't know who they were going to get. And I knew they may not never, ever, ever come across a teacher like me. And I wanted them to be able to find knowledge for themselves. So before I go, I want to issue a challenge to Thomasville, Georgia. It's time for y'all to stand up for y'all kids. Angie Ellis is not the assistant principal that needs to be over at McIntyre Park. I don't know if y'all remember this. Angie Ellis and the group of teachers were instrumental in getting your principal and assistant principal moved from McIntyre Park. And they demoted them, arrested them and had them on the front page. Angie Ellis and her buddies were really, really instrumental in that. You got somebody instrumental in getting rid of that black man. What do you think gonna happen to the principal that she's serving under? She's not to be trusted. That is not the place for her. You don't put up a big Confederate flag and think it's okay. I'm sorry, you don't. You may not even know that you have some issues, but y'all need to speak up. I don't know when the next board meeting is. I ain't traveling right now because of Corona. But y'all need to speak up. Usha, you are down there. Mars Arrington, you down there. Y'all need to speak up. Nola, y'all speak up. That woman is not for our kids. That woman should not. I just thought about another incident. We had a student. He was sick, wanted to take a test, head down. I'm let that one alone. That woman is not for our kids. We need to have some input on who they're hiring as leaders. I talk about my classroom in the book. I show the progress we made in this book. If you get the right leader in place, things can happen. Stop settling for anybody in these inner city schools. They want your kids to stay in inner city kids in schools and not progress because they want that money. They want that Title I money. And the more money they get, the more money, the lower the scores, the more money they get. You can't convince me that black children cannot make more progress than they're making. I'm not convinced of that. Thomasville, y'all came hard. Class of 2020, y'all came real hard for Cheyenne yesterday. Y'all came real hard for her. I want y'all to come real hard and do the right thing and get the right leadership over your little brothers, sisters, and cousins at McIntyre Park. That's what y'all need to be looking at. Looking at that leadership that's going over your students right there. Y'all not looking. You're not looking locally. Look at who's running your schools and what they're doing for your kids, and shut that Scholars Academy down. Mix those kids back up. You got some kids who are good in English. They good in English, put them in an honors class for English, and they can be in regular math. You can't do that when you got two separate campuses and two separate schools. Put them schools back together and watch what happened. Watch what happened. I'm retired. I am not have no plans to go into education at this moment. I like what I'm doing. I advocate for kids. If you need an advocate, you can hit me up in my in my messenger. I'll be more than happy to talk to you. There are cases all over Georgia where I have to do a whole separate live on special education. Lord have mercy. They violating children's rights left and right in special ed. That'll be a whole different show, honey. I have to talk to y'all about that because it's ridiculous the number of rights being violated in special education. But thank you guys for tuning in. And hold on, I'm finna go now. No. We'll talk about that later. We can do a whole different video, honey. But thank you guys for tuning in. I'm so happy that we are finally coming over into my arena education. The title of the book, and this book was written mostly for therapy, to be quiet. I tell everybody that this is therapy. I have given away more of these books that I've tried to sell. I literally give them to all, but I want everybody to read. I give it to everybody. The Kindle version is only $5.99. And what I think I'm going to do is go in and see if I can get Kindle to give it away for free. I want y'all to just read it. But it's stepping out on faith, saying goodbye to public education after 19 years. And what I just saw today from the class of 2020, my new book is gonna be coming out is strictly for the kids. That book is strictly for the kids, and it's the stuff that I used to tell the students in my classroom. I think all kids need to know that so we can wake them up. Y'all have a good night. I love you guys. I will be back. I'm starting a YouTube channel. I see now. I'm gonna have to, y'all woke, so I better talk while y'all listening. Have a good one.